And I remember the first time when I wanted to order wantan mee. I sort of wanted to be a KL person. I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm from small island Penang. So I tried to speak Cantonese, right? And I remember when I ordered, I went up to the uncle. I said, "Uncle, ping o wantan mee ya wun." And he said, "Okay, let you gonlou or tong." It didn't register to me, what gonlou tong meant. I was like, oh, what does that mean? And immediately my master reflex said, gonlou tong. He was like, huh? I said, yeah, gonlou tong, very confidently, And then he asked me again, my, gonlou or tong? I was like, gonlou tong ah. So I think he gave up, right? So gonlou meaning dry, tong means soup. He was asking me, do you want dry or do you want soup? And I told him, dry soup, 3 times. Hello, my name is Adrian and welcome to the Vision Impossible podcast where we talk about everything relating to hospitality. And today, we're going to talk about, let me think.
People get shocked.
People get shocked. That's the podcast.
So Adrian, can you tell me about why people get shocked?
I think people get shocked because somehow I don't look like a certain race. Or maybe I look more like a Malay. I got it when I was very young. And obviously when I look like a Malay, people naturally speak to me in Bahasa. And when they speak to me in Bahasa, and I reply in Hokkien, anyway, I'm born and bred in Penang, so I speak Hokkien dialect. And when I speak in Hokkien, they're like, you講Hokkien話啊? Yo, they get shocked, And the next thing they say, yo, 我才冇講 anything 唔對啊. It's like they say, luckily I didn't say anything that's wrong. It's as if like they must say something that's wrong, right? So they obviously get shocked. But in the hotel industry, I kind of learned that speaking multiple languages is really, really a plus point. Let me give you an example, right? When I was studying in college, we were taught how to speak in French. And I think we had an option to speak either in French, Japanese, or German. And the reason it was French, German, or Japanese was because at that point of time, these were the top markets that were arriving to Malaysia. There was a lot of investment from Germany, there was a lot of investment from Japan, and there were a lot of visitors from France too, so hence the language. Obviously now it's slightly a bit more different. So I sort of spent a bit of time to learn different languages. Obviously I speak Hokkien dialect, I speak English, I also speak Bahasa. I grew up in a predominantly Malay area, so I speak the local Bahasa, which is about, I didn't realize this. When I went to KL, right, I spoke in Bahasa and I said, oh, depa buat macam ni and sebelah dua belah. And then they were like, oh, you orang utara ke? And then I was like, how do you know? And then they say it's because only orang utara, which means the northern people, typically will say belai. Because like if it's 12, it's dua belas, not dua belai. We say belai. Belai sounds funny. And 2, we say depa. Depa means they all, depa. So they kind of felt that, and then I realized northern region Bahasa is very different from central region Bahasa. So anyway, I think in the previous episode, I talked about Traders KL being one of the hotels that really changed my life. And I remember the KL, I was given a place to stay by the hotel. And it was at the opposite Pavilion Hotel, which was currently called Fahrenheit. And when I stayed in Fahrenheit, there was a coffee shop that I used to go to that I really liked this wantan mee noodles. And I remember the first time when I wanted to order wantan mee. I sort of wanted to be a KL person. I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm from small island Penang. So I tried to speak Cantonese, right? And I remember when I ordered, I went up to the uncle. I said, "Uncle, ping o wantan mee ya wun." And he said, "Okay, let you gonlou or tong." It didn't register to me, what gonlou tong meant, because I thought it was wantan mee, and he would say, okay. And I'll probably say, mgoy or something like that, right? And then he said, gonlou or tong. I was like, oh, what does that mean? And immediately my master reflex said, gonlou tong. He was like, huh? I said, yeah, gonlou tong, very confidently, And then he asked me again, my, gonlou or tong? I was like, gonlou tong ah. So I think he gave up, right? So gonlou meaning dry, tong means soup. So I was literally, he was asking me, do you want dry or do you want soup? And I told him, dry soup, 3 times. So he got so fed up. So he gave me the wantan mee noodles, which was dark sauce, half dry, half soup. And, after that I was like, and I asked my friend, what does that mean? He said, bro, he's trying to ask you whether you want dry or soup. And they all laugh at it. And then I realized, okay, and I learned about it. So fast forward, a few weeks later, when I went back to the same coffee shop, the uncle will always say this, gonlou tong lei zhuo. And we became friends, and I will always, every weekend, that's my favorite spot to have noodles. But that gave me a bit of motivation to learn Cantonese. And after I left KL to work in Singapore, I realized that there were only pretty much 2 languages that are typically spoken, one being English and the second language being Mandarin. So I kind of took a bit of time to sort of 学华语 or 华文. And I was really inspired by Lee Kuan Yew, who was English educated, but he spent a lifetime perfecting his Mandarin. He learned Mandarin. I think he had like a routine where the teacher would come and sort of teach him how to read and you practice Mandarin. So I kind of drew inspiration from there and said, okay, maybe I should also learn Mandarin. So I started learning Mandarin, I think back in 2011. And 现在我觉得我会讲一点可以分享，比如讲我做 presentation 的时候，我会讲华文哦。And I think to a lot of people, they'll be like, 哈，你会讲华文哦？ I said, yeah. And it surprises them, it shocks them sometimes, And I find that very beneficial because being able to speak another person's language really sort of bridges the gap. It sort of becomes an icebreaker. So I started picking up Mandarin. And then towards the end, when I came back to Penang, I improved on it. And after that, I think I lost my ability to speak Bahasa for a while. Tapi sekarang, when I'm Arrowood, right, I use a bit more Bahasa. Because we do a lot of talks, a lot of sort of guest speaker sessions in local university, and kita diberi peluang untuk bertutur dalam Bahasa Melayu atau Bahasa Malaysia. It gives me an opportunity to enhance on it.
So what other languages that is in your repertoire at this moment?
I think I speak a bit of Tamil. I think it's konjo pesiara or something like that along the lines. But obviously, I typically people say Nandri, Vanakam, Sora, Mina, Goli. These are some of the words. I think this is very useful when you go and order food, right? And everybody like, oh, you speak Tamil. Yeah, konjo pesiara. I speak Mandarin right now. I speak English. I speak Bahasa. Tamil, I need a bit of time to improve. And Cantonese, 而家識講識叫菜，真係唔錯啦！我覺得真係唔錯啦。因為我嘅爸爸係 Indian， 媽媽係 Chinese， 但係 I grew up in Penang， so most of the time 我哋講 Hokkien dialect。如果你係住在 KL，then you speak more of Cantonese, right? So I think I speak a bit Cantonese right now. I'm just trying to flex a bit of my Cantonese lah.
So what do you take back when people get shocked when you start switching between languages?
I think it builds a lot of bridges. I think people are more friendly towards you. Obviously, if you order food, I can assure you if you speak the language, people give you extra piece of chicken, extra papadum, extra something. That's for sure. That's definitely something they do. So I think that's one of the benefits. But being able to communicate multi-languages is really amazing. And I think something that the hotel industry sort of needs to really pursue is the ability to speak more languages. Because I tend to find that right now, hoteliers either speak either English or either Mandarin or either Bahasa. And when you want to communicate in the hotel ecosystem itself, it's really tough because you've got to switch between 3 languages. You can't have like one language that everybody understands. I mean, obviously everybody speaks Bahasa, but it's not something that everyone is like 100% familiar with. At the same time, you can't speak English where everyone is 100% familiar with. And on the other hand, you can't speak Mandarin where everyone is 100% familiar with. So I think sometimes when I also work, right, I find that a big challenge that when I want to communicate, it's so difficult because I have to switch different languages. But I really hope, right, for those of you out there, if you really pursue learning Bahasa, English, Mandarin, these are the top 3 languages that you really have to master if you want to be in the hotel industry, especially in Malaysia, right? Okay, so if you like this episode, I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you.